have the absolute pleasure of interviewing Caytie Langford and Amanda Cahill. Caytie went from being entry level to executive in less than 12 years. She used to sit in the corner office every single day crying because she knew that she wasn't in the right career anymore. She kept asking herself, is this it? Amanda was a rock star who not only became the first woman in her family to go to college, but also get an MBA. Her career was taking off fast and she had the boxes checked, but she kept asking herself, isn't there more? Together, they created the Bold Women Society to build a community and platform for ambitious mid-career women who are searching for more. Ladies, I cannot wait to have you on the show today. This was such an exciting interview getting prepped for. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having us, Sandra. We're so excited to be with you and to be with your audience for Make That Money, Honey.
Woohoo! Before we get started, I would just love to hear a little bit about how you two met and how you started the Bold Women Society.
Sure. So this is Caytie speaking. So I'll jump in and tell a little bit of the story, and then Amanda will tell the rest of it. So, as you said, I went from entry level to C suite in no time. And when I walked away from my career, I found myself wanting to coach women. I wanted to help other women who were sitting and staring their career in their eye going, is this it? And so Amanda and I actually met at an event that I was co-hosting with a former colleague of mine. And Amanda became my sixth coaching client. That was in 2017. And then Amanda and I, we worked together for about 6 months. She moved on and started working with some other coaches. I continued to coach other women. And in 2020, I was really burnt out from coaching. I had gotten to the place one time where I had 19 individual clients, and it was just a lot. It was a lot. And so I decided that I wanted to do something crazy. I wanted to go into full-time public speaking. I declared this to the world. And 3 weeks later, COVID shut down every single thing, right? We all remember that March. Well, along with COVID shutting down everything, I turned 40 and I was sitting in the high rise apartment that my husband and I had just moved into in a really hip part of Dallas, staring out the window, thinking, what in the hell am I going to do with my life? And I realized at that point that I could either start and create the women's empowerment brand that I always wanted, or I could make excuses and figure something else out. So a pandemic and turning 40 sent me on its way. I decided that I would create this thing called Bold Women Society. And very scary, one day I put it out on social media. And a few weeks later, Amanda texted me and said, hey, we really need to talk about what you're doing. So we jumped on a phone call and I was creating an advisory board. I knew that I couldn't do this work alone. I really wanted women on my team. And I was only telling the women that I was inviting. But for some reason, I had this feeling like I should tell Amanda. So I said, oh, I'm creating this advisory board. And one of Amanda's favorite sayings and the thing that she lives her life by is that the answer is always no until you ask. And so she said, well, can I be on your advisory board? And I thought, well, yeah, of course. You're a total badass, obviously. So she jumped on board. And a few weeks later, she sent me an email and said, hey, I have this crazy idea. I want to talk to you again. So we jumped on the phone and she said, can I do this with you? Can I be your business partner? And it happened. And so I'll let Amanda take the story from here.
Yes, thank you so much, Caytie. I always love hearing you intro that and how we met each other and how we came to be, because it's like we get to relive it every single time we get to tell this story. So I love that you asked us to share this, Sandra. But similar to Caytie, my career took off very fast, as Sandra said. And in fact, I'm actually still working my corporate career and I'm in the throes of it. It's thriving right now. I'm still advancing. And as you mentioned, I am the first woman in my family to go to college and the first to get a master's degree. So I'm kind of paving the way, I feel like, for the future generations of my family. But even though all the boxes were checked, from the outside looking in, everybody said, oh, everything is so great. Everything just seems like it's so perfect for you. And even though I kept hearing this, there was still something inside of me that there was this void and I didn't know what it was. And I had started working with Caytie, like she said, I was like her fifth or sixth coaching client. And Caytie and I kind of laugh about it now because when her and I started working together, I was kind of broken at that point. There were a handful of calls where she would ask me some tough questions and I would be on the verge of tears because I couldn't answer. I couldn't say what I liked about myself or what my strengths were, what values I brought, just things that now I look back at it and I'm like, oh, I could list 100 things that I like about myself and the value that I bring. But I've since then worked with a ton of different coaches and I kept coming back to, I have been able to turn my life into a place where I have so much joy and so much happiness and so much fulfillment. And I wanted to be able to let other people feel that way too, to show people you can have success and you can still be happy. You can still have fun. You can still live a fulfilled, enjoying life. You can have all of the things. It's a yes and life, not a but and life, right? And when I saw what Caytie was doing with Bold Women's Society, I had always been journaling, like I said, that I wanted to help people. And when I saw this, I was like, hey, like she said, what is this? What are you doing? Let's talk about it. And the more I got involved, something went off and I said, this is what I should be doing. Caytie and I should be doing this together. And like she said, my motto is the answer is always no until you ask. So probably one of the scariest things I ever did was call up Caytie, somebody who had already founded a company, and said, hey, I know you've already laid the foundation and the work for this. Let's partner together. Let me show you what I think the vision of this company could be and what this mission could look like with us doing it together. And, the rest is history, as they say, right? So we're here now, we're doing it and, kicking ass, we're having fun and we're changing lives. It's amazing, honestly.
Wow, I love that story. I actually just got goosebumps from that because I was like so excited. I was like, this is so amazing that you have totally pivoted in 2020. You declared, Caytie, you declared to the universe that you were going to become a full-time public speaker, and then threw a spanner in the works with a pandemic, and then you created this amazing business together. I love that story so much. And Amanda, what I really like about what you shared is that you are still in the corporate world and you love it, and you use the words joy and happiness and fulfillment, which I know personally from working in corporate, not a lot of people use those words. People are feeling stuck and they're feeling bored and they're feeling like they're on the hamster wheel of life. And like you both said, you knew there was something more and more powerful out there for you to be doing and to be able to impact these lives of women who are in the corporate world. So let's talk about that for a minute. Could you give us an example of some of the women that you work with and potentially some of the transformations that they have through going through your programs?
Yeah, absolutely. So the majority of the women that we work with are mid-level, they're mid-career, right? So they're not the 24-year-old right out of college that's still in her first job. Although we want to send love to that sister because it's hard those first few years. But it really is that place where you're no longer the newbie and you have skin in the game, but you might literally sit back in your chair and go, oh my goodness, is this it? Now, as far as titles are concerned, most of the women that we work with are in some kind of management director role, all the way up to the C-suite. And so we've seen a ton of transformations. And Amanda, do you want to give a couple of examples of just recent transformations that we've got to see?
Oh, there's so many. The one on the top of my mind that I want to share, there was a woman who's been working with us all year in Bold Women's Society, and she was kind of at that place that you just mentioned, Sandra. She didn't have a lot of joy. She was kind of stuck, didn't know what she wanted to do. And she had always known that she wanted to write children's books. I know I mentioned that in the beginning a couple minutes ago, but she finally did it. There was what she told us, there was one specific coaching call where it all just clicked for her. Everything came together and she was like, that is what I should be doing. I'm going to do it. And wouldn't you know it, within like 30 days, she's already written the book. She's creating a launch team. She's getting it published and like she's doing the damn thing, So that's just one example. There are women that we work with who maybe they know that they should be getting paid more, but they don't know how to have that tough conversation. They don't know how to build up the case to go to their boss and say, look, I've been doing X, Y, and Z. I've excelled in all of these areas. I deserve this. So a lot of times we will help women sit down and say, okay, what have you done? What have you accomplished in your role? And there was a woman recently, we helped her negotiate a raise at her job. It was like 16 or 17% over what she was making, just a phenomenal, but just the empowerment that she got from that. And when you're in that group setting too, other women get to hear these wins and they get to see what's possible. And that's kind of the beauty of what we're doing in Bold Women's Society with having this community, is that we're also taking that and we're spotlighting these stories. So we're allowing the women in our community to join us online to say, hey, share your story. Share it with the world. Let other women hear the bold things that you were doing, the courageous things that you're stepping into. Because at the end of the day, Caytie and I, we envision a world where every single woman is unapologetic in the pursuit of her dreams, because she is confident in her being able to be bold. She has that courage to be authentic, and she has that power that comes from being supported by a community of like-minded women. And that's just a little bit of the power behind what we're doing at Bold Women's Society and why we do what we do every single day.
Oh, I love that. And especially when it comes to the salary negotiation piece,
Yeah.
that is one thing that I know women struggle with so much. I personally do a lot of salary negotiation coaching with my one-on-one clients. And it is just one area that for some reason, women lack the confidence to actually ask for more. And it's not always monetary, but asking for a more interesting role, asking for that promotion to move into something that they are truly passionate about within their company or something like that, because they just feel that they aren't worth it, or they aren't quite qualified, or they aren't deserving, because maybe they're the first woman in their family to ever have gotten to that level of success, and they should be grateful for how far they've come. But it's almost like they put a ceiling on themselves that just because this is the farthest anyone's ever come in their family or their life doesn't mean that they can't go further, right?
Oh,
And
Sandra, this confidence issue is a hot button for me. Of several years ago, I tracked over 100 conversations that I had, initial potential coaching client conversations. And one of the things that I would ask after we would get to the place that I would say, what is stopping you from going after this dream that you just told me about, this goal that you have? And 100%, like, I'm not kidding, I have a log of this. 100% of women used the phrase or some form of, I don't feel confident enough to do it. And it scared the crap out of me. And it's become this thing that I talk about all the time. And at Bold Women's Society, we teach all the time. Because what was fascinating to me was the women that I talked to were across the United States and some in Canada. So it was from coast to coast. They were working for small companies all the way up to Fortune 10 and Fortune 5 companies. They were managers, directors, VP. I talked to people in the C-suite who literally had the word chief in their title. It did not matter if they were making $70,000 or $400,000. I was shocked by this. For some reason, and I was also coaching a couple of men too, and they did it too. Now, I got away from that real quick because, good luck to all the coaches out there that coach men, but we're here for the women. But it's crazy to me because what Amanda and I believe is, we have big, bold things that we have to do in life and in our world and the impact we have to make. And so when we say, I can't do that because I don't feel confident enough, it really can be something that could be life changing, global changing, community changing if someone doesn't step up to do it. And to me, that opportunity cost, what we could potentially be leaving by not helping women feel more confident, is what literally keeps me up at night. It terrifies me.